Harbinger Group. We do have a stand back there. Number 33, Raptivity by Harbinger. And this is my second time speaking at Learning Technologies. The topic today is emerging trends in interactivity and what every learning designer and learning professional must know and why. This is not a vendor presentation. This is really a result of a bunch of thinking I have been doing myself for the past couple of years. And I'm writing about it in my blogs. So this is, in some form, a distilled version of my own blogs that I'm presenting to you. So just in terms of setting expectations, I'm not about to show you any demos or talk about products, but I would really be talking about concepts. So that might make this presentation the second most exciting thing today in the neighborhood, apart from the Chelsea and Birmingham match later in the evening, or may not. But I'll try to make it worth your while, and I want to make it as interactive as I can. If you have a difficulty with my accent, just ask me to slow down, and I will. Okay? So should we start? Okay. And I have very few slides. I do not have too many slides. So the agenda is really simple. I want to spend some time talking together with you, discovering what is interactivity and why do we need to worry about interactivity. And then we go to the new trends, the emerging trends that you cannot ignore. And then sort of wrap our heads around those trends and see what that means for us as learning professionals. Finally, look at a few guidelines for people who design training. And most of the sources that I have drawn upon are from my own blogs. One of them is learningharbinger.blogspot.com. Here I talk about interactive learning and interactivity as applied to learning. And there are over 50 articles in that blog, and those of you who are interested may take a look. There's an amazing article called "Are You a Helicopter Instructional Designer?" For those of you who have heard of helicopter parents, parents who hover over their children and who want to control every little aspect of their children's lives, are you an instructional designer of that type? Or do you let your learner have enough space and freedom to explore things? There was a little quiz there, and you might enjoy taking one. My other blog is interactivityworld.blogspot.com. And this one has a broader applicability. It's not limited to learning, but it really talks about interactivity as a paradigm and what is happening in the interactivity technology. And there are very, very fascinating things going on in the interactivity world in terms of hardware, devices, input mechanisms, software paradigms, user experience improvements, and I take stock of those and I talk about those. There's an article about video in print, a print magazine that opens out to a video that plays. There's articles about how Koreans have integrated interactivity into their, downtown, experiences in terms of how they use digital assets and mix them with real life. There's an article about Sixth Sense, which is a fascinating technology that uses sensors mounted on your fingertips to take pictures, so you don't need a camera. And there are all kinds of interesting things there, and you might enjoy looking at those as well. Okay. So let's get started and talk about interactivity, and what better way to talk than to interact. So let's have a little brainstorming session here. I'm going to start this. What kind of interactivity do you see in learning content, and I have just added one option here, which is you do see questions, and some of you think that questions are interactive because the learner does something with the course. Can you give me some other options, some other examples of interactivity, please? So like drag and drop? Choices. Some more? How about games? Because you're beginning to see games and learning, right? Those are very interactive Voice recognition? Did anybody say simulation? Simulation would be interactive as well. Has anybody seen things like virtual worlds? Those are pretty immersive and interactive. Come on, we need a few more. It's a great example. Because these are social interactions. Keep them coming. So I might just use one word to say wiki. And now as you go on adding these options, you will begin to realize that there's really a lot of variability in the degree of immersion and the degree of engagement they produce. Some of them actually captivate the learner and keep his or her attention and produce meaningful learning outcomes. And yet others are trivial, superficial, simply mindless button clicking, right? So there should be a way to look at this list, or maybe a bigger list, and sort of work on these and say, maybe it's the simulations that are really, really, very immersive, or maybe the 3D worlds, or virtual worlds, or potentially the games. And so as you start working on these, you will probably realize what kind of interactions really produce the type of engagement you're looking for.